The cold hum of the Odyssey's outer hull vibrated through Lieutenant Elira Voss's boots as she stepped into the airlock bay. Her fingers rested lightly on the grip of her pulse carbine. Not out of fear, but habit. Out beyond the viewport, the wreckage of an unknown freighter drifted lazily in the void, caught in the gentle pull of a dead star's gravity well. Sector 9 had been quiet for months, too quiet. And silence in deep space never lasted without reason. Command had flagged the derelict as non-human based on hull resonance patterns. Its design was unlike anything in the Alliance database. Smooth curves interlaced with glowing glyphs that pulsed faintly, even through layers of vacuum frost. No transponder, no hails, just a ghost ship bleeding heat into nothingness. Elira adjusted her helmet, sealing the final click of the maglock. Behind her, Corporal Danny Reed and Sergeant Micah Lowe checked their breaching charges, both young, both sharp. Danny with her restless eyes and quick hands. Mika steady as bedrock, the kind of soldier who could sleep through a plasma storm. They were good. But Elira knew better than to trust luck in places like this. The boarding pod latched onto the freighter's side with a dull thud. Magnetic clamps engaged. Air hissed as pressure equalized. The outer hatch slid open, revealing a corridor bathed in flickering amber light. The air inside carried a metallic tang, ozone and something else. Something organic. Elira stepped through first. Her boots crunched on shards of frozen fluid. The walls were lined with strange growths, bioluminescent moss that recoiled from her boot prints. Every few meters, symbols glowed faintly on the bulkheads, shifting shape as if responding to her presence. Danny tapped her shoulder. She pointed to a side chamber. Inside, containment units lay shattered. Glass shards glittered like ice. Blackened scorch marks spiderwebbed across the floor. One of the units still held a sliver of iridescent gel that pulsed slowly, like a dying heartbeat. Mika knelt, ran a scanner over it. The readout blinked red, unknown biosignature. Possible neurotoxin. Elira did not like unknowns. In her 5 years on the frontier, unknowns usually meant death. Slow or fast, messy or clean, but always death. They moved deeper. The freighter's layout twisted unnaturally. Corridors doubled back on themselves. Stairwells led nowhere. Gravity shifted without warning, sending Danny stumbling into a wall hard enough to crack her helmet visor. She cursed but stayed quiet. Discipline held, then they found the bodies, 3 of them. Non-human, tall, slender, skin pale as moonstone, long limbs twisted in unnatural angles. Their faces were serene despite the violence, no blood. Just dried trails of that same glowing fluid trailing from their mouths and eyes. Elira knelt beside the nearest. The being's fingers were webbed slightly. Nails elongated into claws, but no wounds, no entry points, as if they'd simply stopped. Mika scanned the room. Nothing. No weapons. No struggle. Just death and stillness. Danny's voice crackled over comms. I don't like this. Feels like we're being watched. Elira felt it too. A prickle at the base of her neck. The kind that came before ambushes. Before traps snapped shut, she signaled for silence. Motioned for them to stack up on the next doorway. The chamber beyond was larger, circular. At its center floated a sphere of liquid metal, rotating slowly. Glyphs spun around it like orbiting planets. The air here was warmer, thick with static. Then a sound. Not mechanical. Not human. A soft chime like wind through crystal. Elira turned. She saw her first. A figure stood in the far archway, cloaked in layered silks that shimmered like oil on water. Tall. Impossibly so. Skin that glowed faintly from within. Eyes like molten silver, unblinking. Long hair the color of storm clouds spilled over one shoulder, and beside her, coiled like smoke-given form, a dragon. Not the mythic beast of old Earth tales. This one was sleek. Obsidian scales that drank the light. Wings folded tight against its body. Eyes like twin embers locked onto Elira. The elf woman did not move, did not speak. Just watched. Elira raised her carbine. Identify yourself. No response. Only the hum of the floating sphere. Danny shifted her weight. Aika's finger hovered near her trigger. Then the elf's head tilted slightly. Her lips parted. You're leaking. May I check it? The words were soft. Melodic. Wrong. Elira frowned. Leaking what? The elf pointed. Elira looked down. A thin line of vapor curled from her left forearm. Her suit's integrity alarm chirped once, low and urgent. She hadn't felt a thing. But there it was. A hairline fracture in the polymer weave. and beneath it a faint shimmer of that same iridescent fluid tracing her veins. Her vision swam. The corridor tilted. Sound stretched. Danny's voice came from far away. Mika shouting. The dragon's low growl vibrating in her bones. The elf stepped forward. Slow. Deliberate. Her three-fingered hand extended. Palm up. No threat in the gesture. Only curiosity. Or concern. Elira tried to raise her weapon again. Her arm would not obey. Her knees buckled as she fell. The last thing she saw was the elf's eyes, wide now. Not with malice, but with something almost like recognition. Then darkness. When Elira woke, if you could call it waking, she was no longer in the freighter. The air smelled clean, sterile, yet alive with a subtle hum, like bees in a hive. She lay on a narrow cot, her armor gone, replaced by a thin gray tunic. Her left arm was wrapped in bandages that glowed faintly at the edges. The room was small, walls smooth and warm to the touch. No corners, just gentle curves. A single window showed stars wheeling past, faster than normal. They were moving. She tried to sit up. Pain lanced through her skull. A hand pressed gently on her shoulder. Do not rise yet. The voice, the same melodic tone. Elira turned. The elf sat on a low stool beside the cot, her cloak replaced by a simple tunic of woven silver thread. Her silver eyes held Elira's without blinking. The dragon lay coiled at her feet, head resting on its forelimbs, eyes half closed but alert. Who are you? Elira rasped. Lyran, the elf said, nurse of the Triune Enclave, and this is Veen. The dragon lifted its head slightly. A puff of warm smoke curled from its nostrils. Elira swallowed. Where are my people safe for now, Lyran said. They remain aboard their vessel. I requested solitude for your treatment. My treatment, Elira forced a dry laugh. You drugged me, not drugged, Lyran corrected. Healed. The freighter's atmosphere carried a bioagent, designed to destabilize neural pathways in non-elven species. You inhaled it when the hull fractured during your approach. Elira remembered the hiss of equalizing pressure, the strange warmth in the corridor. She hadn't even noticed the leak. Why help me, she asked. Humans and your kind don't exactly share tea. Lyran's expression did not change, but something in her eyes shifted, like clouds passing over moonlight. Because you carry a spark, Lyran said, and the Cathari are hunting. Sparks. Elira stiffened. The Cathari, a name whispered in fleet briefings. Brutal, relentless, known for harvesting genetic material from conquered species. But they operated in the outer spirals. Not here. How do you know about them? Lyran stood, walked to the window. Outside, the stars blurred into streaks. They are closer than you think. They tracked this freighter. It carried refugees, elven hybrids, children. All gone now. Elira pushed herself upright despite the dizziness. Why tell me this? Because you saw the bodies. Lyran turned, and you did not shoot first. That is rare among humans. Before Elira could respond, a low alarm chimed through the room, soft but urgent. Veen rose instantly, scales flaring with inner light. Lyran's eyes narrowed. They found us. Who the hunter? Elira swung her legs off the cot. Where are my weapons? Lyran hesitated only a second, then nodded toward a storage niche. Your team's gear is there, but your suit is compromised. The toxin lingers in the fibers. Elira grabbed her carbine. Check the charge. Full. Good. She tossed Danny's sidearm and Mika's rifle onto the cot. Can your ship outrun them? Not with their new interceptors, Lyran said. But I know a place they will not follow. Lyra met her gaze. Why should I trust you? Lyran stepped closer, placed a hand over Elira's heart, not over the bandage, just below it. Her touch was cool. Dry, because your blood already sings with my kind's echo, she said. And betrayal would silence it forever. Outside the window, a shadow passed, long and jagged. A Cathari cutter, its hull bristling with weapon spines. Veen hissed, wings half spread. Elira chambered around. All right. Where are we going? Lyran moved to the control panel by the door. Her fingers danced over glyphs that lit beneath her touch. Neris, she said, the ice moon. Beneath its crust lies something they fear more than fire. The ship banked hard. Stars spun. Elira braced against the wall. Her head still throbbed, but her hands were steady. For the first time in years, she felt something other than duty. Curiosity, and maybe the first flicker of hope. The medbay hummed like a living thing. Soft pulses of light traveled along the walls in slow waves, matching the rhythm of Lyran's breathing. Elira lay still on the narrow cot, her body heavy with warmth she did not remember earning. The bandage on her arm glowed faintly, its edges threaded with silver filaments that pulsed each time her heart beat. She tried to move her fingers. They obeyed, but slowly, as if wading through thick water. Across the room, Lyran sat cross-legged on a woven mat, eyes closed, palms resting on her knees. Veen coiled around her like a living cloak, his obsidian scales shimmering with each breath. The dragon's eyes stayed open, watchful, ancient, unreadable. "You are awake," Lyran said without opening her eyes. Elira cleared her throat. Barely a sound came out. She tried again. "Where are we orbiting the third moon of Solaris?" Lyran replied. "A neutral medical outpost. We are safe here. For now." Elira shifted, wincing as her muscles protested. Her uniform was gone. In its place, a thin gray tunic draped over her frame, soft as mist. She touched the bandage on her arm. It felt warm, alive. "What did you do to me?" Lyran opened her eyes. Silver met brown. "I stabilized you. The Cathari toxin targets neural cohesion. It unravels thought before it kills the body. Most species succumb within minutes. You lasted 23. Elira frowned. "I didn't feel anything. That is the danger," Lyran said. "It steals awareness before pain. You were moments from permanent dissociation when I reached you. Dissociation, your mind would have drifted from your body, never to return. You would breathe. Your heart would beat, but you would not be there." Elira swallowed. "Why not you specifically?" Lyran said. "The toxin was dispersed through the freighter's ventilation. You just happened to breathe deeper than your companions." Elira remembered Danny coughing lightly near the breached bulkhead, Mika rubbing her temple. They had been exposed too. "Are they okay, Lee?" Ren nodded. "I administered counteragents before leaving the Odyssey. They will recover. Slower than you, but they will live." Elira exhaled. "Good." Silence stretched between them. Outside the curved window, the moons of Solaris drifted in a slow waltz. 3 pale spheres orbiting a quiet world veiled in blue mist. The sight was peaceful. Too peaceful for what Elira had just survived. "Who are you really?" she asked. "Not just a nurse. Are you military?" Lyran tilted her head. "The Triune Enclave does not wage war. We heal, we preserve, we remember. So you are a keeper of memories among other things. We house the stories of species who have no one left to tell them." Elira thought of the bodies in the freighter, the silent faces, the glowing fluid. They had stories too, now lost. "Why did the Cathari kill them?" "Because they were hybrids," Lyran said softly. "Part elven, part something else. The Cathari believe purity is power. They call what they cannot control, and you protect them, when I can." Elira studied Lyran's face. No anger, no grief, just quiet resolve. It unnerved her more than shouting ever could. "Why help humans then? We are not your kindly." Ren stood, walked to a low basin in the corner. From it, she drew a small vial filled with liquid that glowed like captured twilight. She returned and held it out. "Drink." Elira hesitated. "You expect me to just trust you?" "You already did," Lyran said. "When you let me touch your wound. When you did not shoot me in the freighter. Trust is already given. This is just its next step." Elira took the vial. The liquid was cool, sweet, like rain on dry earth. As she drank, warmth spread through her chest. Her vision sharpened. The fog in her mind lifted completely. "What was that?" "Essence of my own blood," Lyran said. "Filtered. Purified. It bonds with your system. Strengthens what the toxin weakened." Elira stared at her. "You gave me your blood a drop. Enough to bridge the gap between our kinds. Your cells now carry a whisper of mine. It will fade in days. Unless what? Unless you choose to keep it." Elira did not understand. But before she could ask, Veen lifted his head. A low rumble vibrated through the floor. Lyran's expression shifted. "Hunters. Already, they tracked the freighter's last signal. Then your ship's jump trail. They are close." Elira scrambled off the cot. Her legs held. Better than before. She looked around. No weapons. No armor. Can we fight? Not here. This is a sanctuary. Weapons are forbidden. Then we run. Lyran moved to a wall panel. Glyphs lit beneath her fingers. The floor trembled slightly as the outpost detached from its orbital tether. "We have a scout skiff hidden in the lower bay. Small, fast, unregistered." Elira nodded. "Good. Let's go." As they moved through the curved corridors, Illyra noticed something strange. The walls responded to Lyran's presence. Lights brightened where she stepped. Doors opened before she reached them. Even the air seemed to part for her. "You are more than a nurse," Illyra said. Lyran glanced back. "I am what is needed." They reached the lower bay. The skiff waited. A sleek teardrop of black alloy, no markings. Veen leapt inside first, curling into the rear compartment with surprising grace. Illyra climbed in after him. The interior was sparse. 2 seats. A simple control yoke. No weapons console. No comms array. "You travel light, I travel unseen," Lyran said as she sealed the hatch. The skiff launched silently. No roar, no fire. Just a gentle push as magnetic rails released them into the void. Illyra watched the medical outpost shrink behind them, its soft glow fading into the stars. "Where are we going?" Neres, Lyran said. "The ice moon." Again, Illyra said. "Why there?" "Because beneath its surface lies the first Covenant vault, built when your kind first touched the stars. Before you forgot us." Illyra turned. "We never knew you existed." "You did," Lyran said. 200 years ago, Captain Mara Ellis of the human vessel Orion made contact with my ancestors. She signed a pact. Humans would shelter elven refugees. Elves would share knowledge of healing and resonance. But after the Silent War, your records were purged. Your leaders called it a myth. A dream. Illyra shook her head. "I never heard that story, few have. The Cathari made sure of it. They fear what happens when humans remember their strength, and when elves remember their hope." The skiff banked sharply. Illyra gripped the side. Outside, a Cathari cutter emerged from hyperspace, its jagged silhouette blotting out a star. "They found us, hold on," Lyran said. The skiff dove toward Neres. The ice moon grew rapidly. White, cracked, beautiful in its desolation. As they entered the atmosphere, friction heated the hull to cherry red. Veen hissed, tucking his snout under his tail. Illyra's stomach lurched, but she kept her eyes forward. On Lyran's hands, steady on the controls. On the way, her silver eyes narrowed with focus. They skimmed low over glaciers that stretched for hundreds of miles. Crevasses yawned like open mouths. Then Lyran angled downward into a massive ice canyon. The skiff slowed, hovering just above a frozen lake. "Here," she said. Illyra unbuckled. "We are landing in the middle of nowhere." Not nowhere, Lyran stepped out onto the ice. "The vault is below." Veen leapt down beside her. His breath melted a perfect circle in the ice. Steam rose in thick curls. He snorted again, and again. Each puff of plasma breath carved deeper. Illyra watched as a passage formed, smooth walls of melted and refrozen ice leading straight down. "You expect me to walk into that? Your choice," Lyran said. "Stay here and wait for the Cathari, or come with me and learn why you were chosen. Chosen for what to remember." Illyra looked up. The cutter circled high above, scanning. It would not take long before they pinpointed the skiff. "Fine," she said. "But if this is a trap, it is not," Lyran said simply. They descended. The ice passage spiraled downward, lit only by Veen's soft glow and the faint pulse from Lyran's band. The deeper they went, the warmer it became. The walls changed, less ice, more metal. Ancient, human, and elven designs intertwined. At the bottom, a door stood sealed. Human letters and elven glyphs overlapped in a double lock. Lyran placed her palm on the elven side. Illyra hesitated, then pressed her hand to the human side. The door unlocked with a sigh. Inside, the air was still. The vault was small. A central console glowed with dormant power. Shelves lined the walls, filled with data crystals, journals, and strange organic pods that pulsed faintly. Lyran walked to the console, touched a crystal. Light flared. A hologram appeared. Woman in an old-style human uniform. Short brown hair. Calm eyes. Captain Mara Ellis. Illyra stared. She looked real. Not like a recording. Like she was standing right there. "We made a promise." Mara's voice echoed softly. "To stand together, human and elven, not as master and servant, not as weapon and wielder, but as equals. If you are seeing this, the silence has returned, and you must break it." The hologram faded. Illyra turned to Lyran. "What does it mean?" "It means the Cathari are not just hunting my people," Lyran said. "They are afraid of what we become when we stand with yours. Your resilience, our grace. Together, they cannot control it." Suddenly, Veen growled. Low and deep. His scales bristled. Illyra spun. Footsteps echoed from the passage above. Heavy. mechanical. They followed us. Lyran's eyes hardened. They always do. Illyra looked around. No weapons. No exits. Then what do we do? Lyran stepped close. Placed a hand on Illyra's chest again. Over her heart. This time her touch sent a shiver through Illyra's bones. We run, Lyran said. But not like prey. Like fire. She turned to Veen. The dragon nodded, as if understanding. He opened his jaws. Not to roar. But to breathe. A stream of blue-white plasma shot upward through the passage. Ice melted. Metal groaned. The entrance collapsed in a shower of steam and debris. For a moment, silence. Then a new sound. Scraping. Digging. They are not giving up. No, Lyran said. They never do. Illyra looked at the console. At the shelves. At the ghost of... He tunnel sloped upward for what felt like hours. The air grew colder with every step, yet strangely drier. Veen led the way, his claws clicking softly against the stone floor. His tail brushed the walls, leaving faint trails of warmth that faded quickly. Lyran followed close behind him, her fingers lightly tracing the glyphs that appeared intermittently along the passage. Illyra brought up the rear, her body still humming with the after effects of the elven serum, her thoughts sharp but unsettled. They emerged into a vast cavern lit by a soft blue glow emanating from veins of crystal embedded in the ice ceiling. The space stretched farther than the eye could see. Pillars of frozen rock rose like cathedral spires, and in the distance, the faint hum of machinery pulsed like a slow heartbeat. This is not on any human map, Illyra said quietly. It was erased. Lyran replied. The vault was only the first layer. This is the true archive. The hive, Illyra frowned. A living library, part machine, part memory, part organism. It was grown, not built. Veen padded forward, stopping before a wide platform of smooth obsidian. At its center rested a pedestal shaped like intertwined hands, one human, one elven. Lyran approached it slowly, as if in reverence. She placed the data crystal into a slot at its base. The cavern shuddered. Lights flared along the walls. Hundreds of crystals ignited in sequence, casting shifting patterns across the ice. A low tone resonated through the chamber, deep and ancient. Then the air shimmered. Figures appeared, not solid, but made of light and memory. Humans in early Starfleet uniforms, elves in flowing robes, children of both kinds playing together, scenes of shared meals, joint engineering projects, medical exchanges, a civilization neither race could have built alone. Illyra stepped closer, her breath catching. These were not recordings. They were echoes, imprinted into the very structure of the hive. Captain Mara Ellis stood among them, younger this time, laughing as an elven child placed a crown of ice blossoms on her head. They really did it, Illyra whispered. They did, Lyran said. For 47 years, humans and elves coexisted in peace. Then the Cathari came, not with armies at first, with whispers. They infiltrated human command, spread fear, called us parasites, weapons, monsters, and your leaders. Believed them. Illyra's jaw tightened. So they wiped you out, not all, Lyran said. Many fled, many hid. Some changed their names, their faces, their blood. But the alliance was broken. The hive was sealed, and the truth was buried beneath lies. Suddenly Veen hissed. His head snapped toward the tunnel entrance. His scales darkened to near black. They are here, Lyran said. Illyra spun. In the distance, red lights pierced the gloom. Cathari hunter drones. Sleek, spider-like machines with needle arms and photoreceptors that pulsed like angry eyes. They moved fast. Too fast. How did they find us? They tracked the energy surge from the vault, Lyran said. We have minutes. What do we do? Lyran turned to the pedestal. There is one final file. The key. It holds the location of the last free enclave, and proof of the Cathari's human collaborators. Illyra nodded. Get it, I will hold them off. You have no weapon, have my hands. And this place? Lyran hesitated only a second before turning back to the pedestal. Her fingers danced over glowing symbols. The light around her intensified. Illyra ran to the nearest ice pillar. She slammed her fist against it. Nothing. Then she remembered the serum, the warmth in her blood. She focused, not on strength but on resonance, on memory. She placed her palm flat against the ice and thought of Mara Ellis. The pillar responded. A crack formed, then another. With a sharp cry, Illyra shoved. A massive shard of ice tore free, sharp as a blade. She hefted it like a spear. Veen let out a low growl and charged. The first drone entered the cavern. Veen met it mid-air, jaws clamping around its central chassis. Plasma fire erupted from his throat, melting the machine into slag. A second drone leapt from the shadows, needles extended. Illyra swung the ice shard, cleaving it in two. Black fluid splattered the floor, sizzling. More came. 5, 10, 20. Illyra fought with a fury she did not know she had. Her movements were faster than before. Sharper. The elven essence in her blood was not just healing her. It was awakening something older, something tied to this place. Meanwhile, Lyran worked feverishly at the pedestal. Glyphs spiraled around her. The air thickened with energy. Finally, a single orb of light rose from the pedestal, pulsing, alive. She caught it in her hands. The final file. Veen roared as a drone latched onto his wing. Illyra sprinted over, driving the ice shard through its core. The dragon shook it off, then turned to face the remaining machines. But more red lights appeared, dozens now, pouring into the cavern. We cannot win this, Lyran said. Then we leave, Illyra grabbed her arm. Where's the exit? There is none, Lyran said. Only one way out. She pointed upward, to a shaft hidden behind a curtain of ice. Old emergency evacuation used once, during the purging. Can we reach it if Veen clears the path? The dragon needed no command. He coiled, then launched himself into the air, wings spreading wide. He unleashed a sustained blast of plasma toward the ceiling. Ice rained down. Pillars cracked. The cavern began to collapse. Run, Lyran shouted. They sprinted through falling debris. Illyra shielded Lyran with her body as chunks of ice crashed around them. Veen circled above, herding the drones into collapsing zones, burning any that got too close. They reached the shaft just as the entrance to the cavern sealed itself under tons of ice and stone. For a moment, silence. Then the shaft trembled. A lift platform rose from below. Activated by the hive's final protocol, they stepped on. The platform shot upward. Wind howled as they broke the surface. Snow swirled around them. The skiff sat nearby, half buried but intact. The Cathari cutter still circled high above, scanning the surface. They have not seen us yet, Illyra said. They will, Lyran replied, but not for long. They scrambled into the skiff. Veen squeezed into the rear, his sides heaving. Illyra took the co-pilot seat. Lyran powered up the controls. The engines whined to life. As they lifted off, Lyran held up the orb of light, the final file. What does it say? Illyra asked. The last free enclave is on Daxar Prime. But that is not the most important part. The file contains names, human officers, scientists, politicians, all who aided the Cathari in the purge. They are still active, still in power. They are the reason your fleet sees me as a threat. Illyra stared. You are saying some of our own leaders are working with the enemy. Not just working, Lyran said. Leading. They believe elven genetics can be weaponized, turned into super soldiers. They call it Project Echo. Illyra's blood ran cold. I have heard that name. Classified briefings. Black budget. I thought it was theoretical. It is real, and you are now part of it. Your blood carries the echo. They will want you too. The skiff broke atmosphere. Stars returned, cold and endless. Where to now, Daxar, Prime, Lyran said. We broadcast the file to every neutral channel, every news network, every ship within range. The truth must burn through the silence. Illyra nodded. But first we need to survive. As if on cue, the Cathari cutter turned, its weapon spines lit with charging energy. They saw us, hold on, Lyran said. The skiff jolted sideways as a plasma burst seared past the hull. Alarms blared, soft chimes, not human sirens. Veen growled, pressing himself flat against the floor. Illyra gripped the edge of her seat. Can we outrun them? Not in this. But we do not need to outrun them. We need to disappear. Lyran input a series of commands. The skiff's hull darkened. Its engine signature dropped to near zero. They drifted into the shadow of a nearby asteroid field. The cutter slowed. Scanned. Found nothing. After a long moment, it turned and streaked away. Illyra exhaled. That will not hold them long, no, Lyran said. But it gives us time. She turned to Illyra. Your people will not believe this file unless it comes from one of their own. You must be the voice. You are human. A decorated officer. They will listen to you before they listen to me. Elira looked down at her hands. Still human, but not entirely. She could feel the echo, the warmth in her veins, the clarity in her thoughts. She was becoming something new. And if they call me a traitor, then you will be a traitor to lies, Lyran said. Not to truth. Bean lifted his head, let out a soft chime, like approval. Elira met Lyran's silver eyes. For the first time she saw not an alien, not a nurse, not a weapon, but a sister. All right, she said. We go to Daxar Prime. But before they could plot the jump, the skiff's internal sensors blinked red. Anomaly detected. Elira frowned. What? Lyran checked the readout. Her expression darkened. There is a tracker on board. Not from the Cathari. From your own ship. Elira's stomach dropped. The Odyssey, someone followed us, or planted it before we left. Betrayal. Not from the enemy. From home. The silence that followed was heavier than any ice. Vian lowered his head. Lyran closed her fist around the orb of light. Elira stared out at the stars, and for the first time she did not know who to trust. The skiff drifted in the silent stretch between asteroid belts, its engines cold, its hull dark. Inside, the air grew thick with tension. Elira stood by the rear storage locker, her hands moving slowly over every seam, every panel. Her fingers traced the inner lining of her tunic, the folds of her boots, the straps of the emergency kit. Nothing. Yet the tracker signal remained. A faint pulse no bigger than a grain of sand, hidden somewhere in the ship's systems. Lyran watched from the cockpit, her silver eyes unreadable. Vian lay coiled near the hatch, his breath slow but his tail twitching like a coiled spring. It is not external, Elira muttered. They planted it before we left the Odyssey. Lyran nodded. Someone on your crew. Elira's jaw tightened. Danny. Mika. Both had handled gear before the mission. Both had access. But neither would betray her. Would they unless they were ordered to? The thought struck like ice water. High Command had been quiet since the freighter incident. Too quiet. No check-ins. No updates. No demands for status. As if they already knew what would happen. Elira moved to the communications console, tapped a hidden override. A private channel flickered to life, encrypted, emergency only. She keyed in her command code. Static hissed for a long moment. Then a voice, Lieutenant Voss. Your signal is unexpected. It was Admiral Croft, her direct superior. Calm. Controlled. Too calm. Lyra kept her voice steady. Reporting in, sir. Mission compromised. Alien contact confirmed. Requesting extraction. A pause. Too long. Extraction is not authorized. Return to the Odyssey immediately. Surrender the non-human entity for containment. Elira's blood turned cold. Containment, that is the order. So the entity is not hostile. She saved my life. She has evidence of Cathari infiltration. Irrelevant. That is a triune matter. Your priority is compliance. Return now. The channel cut. Elira stared at the dead screen. Beside her, Lyran had heard everything. They see me as a specimen, Elira said. Worse, Lyran replied. A weapon they did not build, and cannot control. Vian let out a low growl. His scales darkened. Elira turned. We cannot go back. No, Lyran said. But we cannot stay here. They will send more ships. Human and Cathari both. Then we find the tracker. Remove it and move. They tore the skiff apart. Panel by panel. Wire by wire. Vian used his heat sense to scan for anomalies. Lyran ran resonance pulses through the frame, listening for dissonance. Elira checked every stitch of fabric, every ration pack, every medkit vial. Finally, Vian stopped. His snout hovered over the emergency oxygen mask clipped to the wall beside Elira's seat. He nudged it with his nose. Elira removed it, turned it over. Nothing visible. But when she held it near Lyran's hand, the elf's fingers glowed faintly. There, Lyran said. Embedded in the filter, a nano-beacon. Human design. Elira crushed it in her fist. The tiny device shattered into dust, but the damage was done. They knew the skiff's last known vector. They would be waiting at every jump point, unless we do something they do not expect. Like what we do not run, Lyran said. We go to them, Elira frowned. You mean, back to the Odyssey, not to surrender, to confront. Elira considered it. Risky. Insane. But the only way to cut the rot at the root. All right. But we do it my way. They plotted a course that looked like a panicked retreat, looping through debris fields, faking engine failures, broadcasting false distress beacons, all while angling silently toward the Odyssey's patrol sector. 3 hours later, the human vessel loomed in the viewport, sleek, powerful, its hull scarred from recent skirmishes. It hung in the void like a sleeping predator. "No hails," Lyran noted. "They are waiting," Elira said. "Ambush or arrest. Maybe both." She powered down the skiff's main systems, let it drift on momentum alone. Then she opened a local comms channel. "Low power, tight beam Odyssey, this is Lieutenant Voss. Requesting emergency dock, medical emergency on board." Silence, then a response. "Cold. Official. Dock at Bay 3. Disarm before entry. No exceptions." Elira looked at Lyran. "You stay hidden. Veen too." "I go in alone." Lyran shook her head. "Not alone. I go with you, but unseen." How she touched her wrist. A thin band glowed briefly. Her form shimmered, then vanished. Not invisibility. Light bending. An old elven trick. Elira blinked. "Impressive. Your people called it magic. We call it physics." Veen curled tighter into the shadows of the cargo hold. His eyes glowed faintly. Elira took a deep breath, activated her suit's comms, opened the hatch. She floated across the void tethered by a thin line. The Odyssey's bay doors opened with mechanical precision. Inside, a dozen Marines waited in full armor, weapons ready, faces hidden behind visors. At their center stood Corporal Danny Reed. Elira's heart sank. Danny stepped forward, helmet off, face pale but resolute. "Elira, you should not have come back. You knew about this. Not at first. But when Command flagged your bio readings, they told us you were compromised. Infected by an elf who healed me. They say she rewrote your mind." Elira laughed bitterly. "Did they tell you about Project Echo?" Danny hesitated. "Just rumors. The rumors are real. They are harvesting elven DNA, trying to splice it into soldiers. And now they want Lyran. Not to study. To dissect." Danny's eyes flickered. Doubt crept in. Before she could respond, a new voice cut through the bay. "Enough chatter." Sergeant Mika Lowe stepped forward, but she was not in Marine armor. She wore a black tactical suit with no insignia, a datapad in her hand. Elira stared. "Mika, you were never supposed to survive the freighter," Mika said. "The toxin was calibrated for human neural collapse. Your resilience confused them. Then you brought her back. And now you are both liabilities." Elira's blood ran cold. "You work for them." "I work for progress," Mika said. "Humanity needs an edge. The elves have it. We take it, so you planted the tracker he did, and now you are home." Elira's hand twitched toward her sidearm, but it was gone. Left on the skiff per protocol. Mika nodded to the Marines. "Secure her." As two soldiers moved in, Elira dropped low-spun, kicked the first in the knee. The second lunged. She caught his rifle barrel, twisted, and slammed his helmet into the bulkhead. But more came. Too many. She was pinned. Wrists bound. Shoved to her knees. "Where's the subject?" Mika asked. Elira spat. "Gone." Mika smiled. "No. She is here. I can smell her." Elira frowned. What elven biology emits a unique pheromone when stressed. Faint, but detectable. And you have been close to her. "Your suit reeks of it." Mika walked to the bay controls, sealed the outer hatch, activated internal scanners. "She is on this ship, and I will find her." Elira struggled against her restraints. "You do not understand what she is. I understand she is a resource." At that moment, a soft chime echoed through the bay. Everyone froze. Mika's eyes widened. That sound, Veen stepped out of the shadows, not fully visible, just a ripple in the air. Then his form solidified, obsidian scales gleaming, eyes burning, wings half spread. A low growl vibrated through the deck plates. The Marines raised their weapons. "Do not move," Mika ordered. Veen did not attack. He simply stood between Elira and the soldiers. Protective. Silent. Then Lyran appeared, not with a flash, not with drama. She simply stepped into view as if she had always been there. Her cloak shimmered back into existence, her silver eyes fixed on Mika. "You hunt what you do not comprehend," she said. Mika's hand hovered over her sidearm. "You are under human jurisdiction." "No," Lyran said. "I am under no one's, but I offer you a choice. Release her, and leave this path." or you will learn why even the stars fear the Triune." Micah scoffed. "You are one nurse. And a pet." Fiend's tail lashed. The lights flickered. Illyra saw her chance. She twisted her wrists, still weak from the toxin but stronger now. The binding snapped. She lunged, not at Micah, at the bay control panel. She slammed her fist into the emergency purge switch. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. The inner airlock doors began to close. Micah shouted, "Stop her," but it was too late. Illyra grabbed Lyran's hand. Veen leapt beside them. As the doors sealed behind them, they sprinted for the maintenance corridor. Behind them, Micah screamed, "Lock down the ship." But Illyra knew the Odyssey better than anyone. She led them through vents and service tunnels, bypassing patrols, disabling cameras with old override codes. Finally, they reached the auxiliary hangar, where the skiff still waited, untouched. "How did you know they would not guard it?" Lyran asked as they boarded. "Because they think I am predictable," Illyra said, "and predictable people do not steal dragon-ridden nurses from military vessels." She powered up the skiff. Engines hummed, but as they prepared to launch, a voice came over the ship-wide comms. "Illyra. Please." It was Danny. Illyra paused. "You are making a mistake," Danny said. "They will brand you a traitor. You will lose everything." Illyra looked at Lyran, at Veen, at the truth burning in her chest. "I already lost everything when I believed the lies." She cut the comms. The skiff launched. As they cleared the Odyssey's gravity well, Illyra looked back one last time. The ship hung in the void, once her home. Now a cage she had escaped. Lyran placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did not lose your people. You just found the ones worth saving." Illyra nodded, then set course for Daxar Prime. The relay station waited, and with it, the truth. But first they had to survive the hunters closing in from all sides. Human. Cathari, and the silence between them. The Daxar Prime relay station hung in orbit like a dead star wrapped in steel. Its spires bristled with antenna arrays and weapon mounts, its hull scarred from decades of skirmishes. Once a neutral communications hub, it had long since fallen under Cathari control, retooled into a fortress of surveillance and silence. No signal left this place unless the Cathari allowed it. Illyra guided the skiff through a debris field of old satellites, her hands steady on the controls. Beside her, Lyran monitored energy signatures. Veen lay coiled in the rear, eyes closed but breathing slow and deep, conserving strength. They had one chance. The plan was simple: get inside, reach the central core, upload the Hive file, broadcast it across every open channel before the Cathari could shut it down. After that, survival was optional. "You do not have to do this," Lyran said softly. Illyra glanced at her. "Yes, I do. This is not just your fight anymore." Lyran did not argue. She simply nodded. Her fingers brushed the pouch where the orb of light rested, still pulsing, still alive with truth. As they neared the station, alarms flickered on the skiff's panel. Sensor sweeps. Patrol drones. Illyra cut the engines. Let the skiff drift like another piece of cosmic junk. They waited. Breath held. Heart steady. The drones passed. Now she whispered. The skiff fired thrusters for 3 seconds, just enough to latch onto a service tether on the station's underbelly. The magnetic clamps engaged with a soft thud. They moved fast. Illyra wore a salvaged tech harness. No armor, but enough to mimic station maintenance. Lyran wore a hooded cloak, her form blurred by residual resonance fields. Veen stayed hidden in the skiff for now, too large to sneak through vents. They slipped through an access hatch into a dim corridor lined with flickering panels. The air smelled of oil and ozone. Distant machinery groaned like a sleeping beast. "Level 7, Lyran murmured. "Core is 3 levels down." They moved in silence, past empty barracks, past deactivated drone pens, past walls scrawled with Cathari glyphs that seemed to writhe in the low light. Then they heard voices. Illyra signaled a halt, peered around a corner. 2 Cathari soldiers stood guard outside a central chamber. Biomechanical horrors, part insect, part machine. Their carapaces clicked as they spoke in guttural tones. Lyran listened, her eyes narrowed. They speak of a prisoner, a human, captured near the ice belt. Illyra froze. Danny. She must have followed, or been sent. "We cannot save her," Lyran said gently. "I know," Illyra whispered, "but we cannot leave her to them. They devised a distraction. Lyran placed a small resonance crystal on a nearby conduit, activated it. The hum grew louder, mimicking a power surge. The guards turned, moved toward the noise. Elira and Lyran slipped past. They reached the core chamber, a vast spherical room dominated by a floating neural hub, its surface swirling with stolen memories. Cables snaked from it into the walls, feeding data to every Cathari ship within range. "This is it," Elira said. Lyran approached the interface terminal. Her fingers hovered over the glyphs. "It will take time to bypass their encryption. How much? 3 minutes. Too long." But they had no choice. Elira took position by the entrance, carbine raised. She had retrieved it from the skiff before leaving, her last resort. She did not wait long. Shouts echoed down the corridor. Boots pounded metal. The guards had discovered the ruse. Then a new sound. Wings de Veen dropped from a ventilation shaft above, landing with a thud that shook the floor. His scales flared with heat, eyes locked on the approaching soldiers. "Go," Lyran said. "I will hold them." Elira hesitated. "I cannot leave you. You must. The broadcast is the weapon now." Elira nodded, turned, ran to the terminal. She inserted the orb. The hub reacted violently. Light flared, alarms wailed. The station trembled. Outside the chamber, Vian met the first wave of soldiers with fire and claw. Plasma burned through carapace and bone. Lyran joined him, her hands weaving patterns in the air that disrupted the Cathari neural links. Soldiers collapsed, twitching as their implants overloaded. But more came. Dozens. Then hundreds. Elira's fingers flew over the terminal, bypassing firewalls, rerouting data streams. The file began to upload, slowly, painfully, 80%. The chamber doors buckled. A massive figure stepped through. The Cathari warlord, taller than any soldier. Its body fused with stolen elven tissue. Silver veins pulsed beneath black armor. One eye glowed red. The other pale silver. Elven it spoke. Not in guttural clicks, but in perfect standard. "You bring her back to me, half-breed." Lyran stood before it, blood on her tunic, breath ragged. "I am no half-breed. I am whole." The warlord laughed, a sound like grinding stone. "You are a mistake. A flaw in the bloodline, and I will erase you." It lunged. Vian intercepted, slammed into the warlord with enough force to crack the floor. They rolled, a storm of fire and fury. Elira did not look. She focused on the screen. 95%. Then the warlord roared, slammed Vian into the wall with a sickening crunch. The dragon slid to the floor, unmoving. Lyran screamed, a sound unlike anything Elira had heard. Raw. Ancient. The warlord turned to her, reached out with a clawed hand, but Lyran did not attack. She began to sing. Soft. Clear. A lullaby in a language older than stars. The warlord froze. Its silver eye flickered. Memories surfaced, fragmented. Human hands holding an elven child. A voice whispering in the dark. A name. Maradoc confusion crossed its face. Pain. In that moment, Elira hit the final key. Upload complete. The broadcast began. Every channel, every frequency, every neutral outpost from here to the fringe. Captain Mara Ellis's voice filled the void. "We made a promise." To stand together, images followed. The hive, the pact, the list of human collaborators. Project Echo. The truth. The warlord staggered, its systems overloaded by the flood of unfiltered memory. Vian stirred, lifted his head. One last breath of plasma. Elira grabbed Lyran's arm. Ranthe sprinted for the exit as the core began to destabilize. Alarms blared. Lights died. The station groaned like a dying god. They reached the skiff just as the first explosion rocked the hull. Elira threw herself into the pilot seat, fired the engines. The skiff tore free as the relay station erupted behind them, a silent bloom of fire and light. Against the black, they watched from a distance as the transmission spread, ripples through the galaxy. On neutral worlds, people stopped, listened, believed. On Alliance ships, officers questioned orders. On Cathari vessels, systems corrupted under the weight of truth. It was not victory, but it was a beginning. Weeks later, on the quiet colony world of Solaris 3, Elira stood on a grassy hill watching Vian chase glowing insects through the twilight. His wings healed, his fire tempered, Lyran sat nearby, tending to a group of refugees, human children with elven eyes, elven elders with human names. They came every day now. Drawn by the broadcast, by hope, Alira walked over, knelt beside her. They are calling it the Echo Awakening. Lyran smiled faintly. Names do not matter. Only what we build now. Alira looked at her hands. Still human. Still changed. She no longer feared the warmth in her blood. Down in the valley, a new ship landed, bearing both human and elven sigils. The first joint envoy. Alira stood, offered her hand. Ready Lyran took it. Always. And somewhere in the stars, the galaxy listened, not with weapons, but with wonder,